We're going to dive deep really into the evolution of your story and the evolution of your brand, Her Paper Route.
What started as a little blog and a podcast called Her Paper Route had a little sister site be born from it called Niche Investor, where we connect buyers and sellers for website sales.
The models for business have changed a lot.
What I've always done for my own niche sites is been very focused on Pinterest and newsletters for traffic and engagement and community building.
And what types of websites, brands are you seeing buyers are interested in, sellers are able to sell?
We are seeing now in 2025 quite a shift away from niche specific websites and into lifestyle sites.
A community is so valuable and can really get you through leaner months.
A lot of times we think that just because we have a newsletter, everyone knows about it, and it's not like that.
Pinterest traffic takes like 6, 9, 12 months minimum to be able to get it.
When you are creating content for Pinterest, I think it's so important.
All right, welcome back to the Niche Pursuits podcast. My name is Jared Bauman. Today we are joined by Chelsea Clark with Her Paper Route. Chelsea, welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me back again all these years later.
All these years later. It is true. You joined us. I checked 2021.
Oh, wow.
Don't want to date myself here, but that was a couple many years ago.
It sure was. Oh my goodness. We were right in the pandemic then.
Yeah. It was, one of my first episodes as the host. I've lost track of where I'm at now, but it's in the hundreds. So I will link to it in the show notes, but I'm a little nervous to go back and listen to it myself. Just speaking strictly from me as a host, I'm probably pretty green at that point. Lots changed though. Lots changed in the world. Lots changed in your business. Lots changed in what's going on in online marketing and in the online world. So we're going to dive deep really into the evolution of your story and the evolution of your brand, Her Paper Route. I'm so excited to listen to what's changed, what's happened, and how you've adapted. A lot of people will not have heard your first episode. We will link to it in the show notes, but catch us up on who you are, not just into 2021, but even up to now.
Definitely. Well, yes. So I'm Chelsea. I founded what started as a little blog and a podcast called Her Paper Route, and I grew it into a community, which later had a little sister site be born from it called Niche Investor. And that is a platform where we connect buyers and sellers for website sales. So niche websites and e-commerce businesses and, niche online assets. And Jared, when we first had our conversation years ago, it was just in the first couple of years of that startup. Mm-hmm. And our episode, the title of it has haunted me since then.
Uh-oh.
Because back then the business was making like pretty good money. And I think the title of our episode was something like Chelsea Clark makes $90,000 a month, which at the time was great, but it is not like that anymore. I am not making that kind of money anymore. And now whenever people search my name, that comes up. So yeah, a lot has changed, but yeah, I still have my website, Her Paper Route, podcast, newsletter. I've really just been focusing more into the newsletter side of it in recent years rather than blogging, which we will chat about here today.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate your candor. It's not a story that is, kind of unique to you. Like a lot has changed. And not just has changed in terms of how much people are making, but really in terms of how people are making it, right? Like the models for business have changed a lot. And if you're in the niche website creation business, then that model has changed.
Big time.
I mean, from a high level, take us through how those changes affected you. I mean, 2021, you're right. We're coming out of the 2020 and 2021 COVID boom where so many people had so much time to turn their efforts online. A lot of websites, a lot of blogs had gotten created during that time, and people had gotten creative too with how they were spending their time. Those who were maybe in traditional business were finding new ways to earn income. Then we had the helpful content update, which did change the landscape for niche sites. After that, since we've talked, and of course now, there's so many different ways to drive business, and we've gotten AI introduced to the fold. So lots happened in 4 years. I know things are different, but maybe from a high level, how did niche sites and how they impacted your online store? I guess I'll call it a brokerage, really. How did it affect things?
Yeah. So when the HCU update and the other updates that were happening around that time really started landing, we noticed, okay, we had a lot of listings where there were a lot of sites that depended heavily on Google traffic. And we had to sort of scramble because one, we had to reevaluate a lot of listings because we could not, have this price on them if they are no longer getting that sort of traffic number anymore to support those revenue numbers. So there was a moment in time when we were thinking, oh no, like is the industry, is it done? Or niche
Mhm.
websites going to be dying? Is blogging dead? We've all heard SEO is dead, blogging is dead for years, but it was really more of, okay, we need to reevaluate and pivot. And so what I've always done for my own niche sites is been very focused on Pinterest and newsletters for traffic and engagement and community building. And so what I ended up doing was I reached out to all of our buyers and sellers, and it was really just from an education standpoint, like, hey, if you're not using Pinterest yet, this is how to get started. This is what to do. Pinterest is a free organic search engine for organic traffic. It's there for the using. And I just sort of gave the bullet points of what you can do to get your site getting traffic from Pinterest, so you're not just dependent on Google or any particular other search engine. And that really helped. So the sellers that were able to get their sites with the Pinterest traffic, they were able to recover a lot of their revenue in that year, or the year after, because it does take a while. It's not an instant thing.
Yeah.
And then with ad revenues, so like display ads, Mediavine, and Raptive, fortunately, those networks were paying pretty great RPMs for Pinterest traffic. So it was sort of a win-win for those who were ready to adapt to embracing Pinterest, as funny as that might sound, but that really
Mhm.
made a big difference. And then over time, it was really just a slow thing. Sales, so that slowed down for a little bit, and it wasn't really until the end of 2024 that we saw sales in the market pick up again. And that's been nice in recent months to see more people getting re-engaged with it. But like you said, Jared, it's people are looking at it differently. So revenue streams, it's not just to get those display ad traffic, high RPMs and just focused on that. It's really looking at your blog as a business, creating digital products, maybe going all in on high paying affiliate offers more so than maybe someone did before, and creating your own offers, but building a community around the blog. So we never want to just have a standalone blog anymore that just hopes to get you know Google traffic, and we still want to write with good SEO, but it's really more about building a community, converting that traffic, those people to come and get onto your email list and send a really great newsletter. That whole is more of a holistic approach to blogging, and I'm seeing now that is helping with sales for people who then want to go and sell their business in not just my marketplace, but in the market in general.
Yeah. I really want to talk to you about what's selling now, and I'm going to tease it so people stick around to hear about that. Because as you mentioned, like you're selling websites now, it's just changed a lot, but people need to
Yeah.
hear what it is that's selling, and we get to have access to hear that. Talk about that process though that you mentioned, where you had to survive through the ever-changing landscape of niche sites. And I think I'll just call it out. You didn't say any of this, but I'm just reading between the lines here. Like Pinterest traffic takes like 6, 9, 12 months minimum to be able to get it, and then also create enough of a trajectory that you can sell it, right?
Yeah.
You can do all the Pinterest stuff, start getting the traffic, but you have to have a little bit of a run rate before you can actually sell to someone based on that. So if people are taking some time to transition their traffic from a traditional Google SEO model, and then 2023 HCU happens, and then now we've got to pivot our models, you
Mhm.
probably, I'm again reading between the lines here, you probably had to survive a good year or two with not a lot of sales happening. And let's be honest, that's how a marketplace makes their money.
Yeah, so it was a couple months for sure. But when you are creating content for Pinterest, I think it's so important that you look at what's trending. So using Pinterest's own trends tool, I think it's trends.pinterest.com, and you can see what is trending now, but you can also look, say we're in October. If I wanted to see what was trending in November of last year, I can go back in that trends tool and see what was coming up around this time, so that then I know, okay, if I'm thinking ahead, like maybe I'm thinking I'm already creating holiday content now, or even beyond, I'm making Valentine's Day content. I'm going to see what was really trending leading up to Valentine's Day last year. And then I'm going to go to create pins, content about that trending topic, but tailor it to my niche. So that's the really important kind of factor. And when you start with that, you can still create pins about all the things you just want to create about. But if you have at least a good solid amount of trending content, then you're setting yourself up for that future success. And the cool thing is, when I look back at my Pinterest accounts that are doing well now, some of the pins that are trending now are seasonal from last year and even the year before. So that effort that you put in can actually come back year after year if you get it ranking, and if people like your content. You can't just post ugly pins. You have to create good pins, good design, and really look at it as a search engine. So when you're writing your descriptions and your pin titles, you're picking up those trending keywords, you're bringing them into your descriptions, and and ultimately leading them, the link that you send people to is leading them to something valuable. So maybe it's a sales page, a landing page, maybe it's a blog post, or maybe it's just to get people onto your newsletter. Whatever it may be, you're sending them to something of value, and Pinterest picks up on those signals and they'll show it to more people. And the funny thing too is engagement actually matters on Pinterest now in 2025. So when people are commenting on your pins, that is sending a good signal to Pinterest as well to then push it out to more people. And we used to just say, oh, followers don't matter on Pinterest, engagement doesn't matter, it's all SEO. But now it's really a balance of SEO and community engagement with Pinterest. And that's what we're seeing for long-term success. So yes, there's definitely a waiting period, and you do have to put in effort where you're not going to see results right away. But just know that effort you are putting in, it snowballs and it can pay off for years to come. Pinterest is a long game with long-term results and potential.
So what type of transactions are you seeing nowadays? How has the volume of transactions changed? And what types of websites, brands are you seeing, more often than not, buyers are interested in, sellers are able to sell?
Yeah, so I'd love to get into this. We are seeing now in 2025 quite a shift away from one off niche specific websites and into lifestyle sites. So now it's not just that you want a diverse traffic and diverse revenue sources, but you also want diverse topics on the site itself, which is really a change from the last even 5 years, where traditional SEO was all about building a niche site, focusing on that one topic, becoming an authority in that topic, and ranking for everything, all of the related questions, and answering search intent for that one very specific niche. It's really not so much anymore. And that's also the beauty of using Pinterest, because you can tap into all of these different topics and still send traffic to one domain that then houses all of those topics. Not only is that more fun, but it is much more freeing for the creator. Because, on personal note, when I was building just niche sites, one specific niche on a domain type website, I would get burnt out so fast. I would get bored. I would then want to start 5 other sites just so I could write about my other interests. And now being able to do that on one domain and then being able to actually sell that and buyers see the value in that is really, really it's very rewarding. So I definitely recommend that if you are ever feeling like you get too burnt out trying to write about one thing, that's old school now. You can write about many things on one domain. And we are seeing those lifestyle sites sell more. And it is becoming, from what we've seen in our marketplace, a little bit harder to sell a website that just focuses on one topic. And I think that has to do with Google's updates over the years as well, because maybe Google isn't ranking those what were authority sites, maybe aren't so much anymore, because we're seeing those big like magazine corporate businesses, like let's say Cosmopolitan, like a big website magazine like that covers so many topics. They kind of knocked out all of the smaller niche sites in recent years. So if you're ever stopped yourself from creating a lifestyle website, let yourself do it. Let your creativity flow.
Interesting. Okay. Well, can we work with an example of what a lifestyle type of website you would see selling is? Like, maybe walk through an example of that, because to some degree, I'm curious about that. I mean, oftentimes these are types of sites that, as you mentioned, didn't sell well in the past, and
Yeah.
now that they're, I don't want to say coming back in vogue. I'm not sure they were ever in vogue in terms of a marketplace environment, Like, what would be an example or two of a lifestyle type of site that does go into a lot of different niches?
Definitely. So ones that can be focused on things like, this is just an example, but one domain that has a category for fashion, a category for travel, a category for maybe habits and mindset, a category for food. All of those things can actually live on one site, and that becomes what's known as a lifestyle site. It is the lifestyle of the creator or the lifestyle of the ideal customer, that we're expecting that people don't just have one interest, that they may have multiple interests. And a couple years ago, we used to say, well, it's harder to monetize a lifestyle site because people might not want to see your food content in your newsletter. They might only want your fashion content. But really, I think that has really become less of a concern now. And we know that people have multiple interests, and food and travel really isn't that different, because what are you doing when you're traveling? You're eating food. What are you doing when you're traveling? You're packing your outfits that you want to wear when you go traveling. So that ties into the fashion. There's so many ways to tie your categories together with a little bit of creativity.
That is interesting. Okay. Who is buying these types of sites? Like, what's an avatar of the buyer for this type of content, really?
I've noticed our buyer avatar has changed a little bit. Even though we still have some of the same buyers, we have more female buyers now. So when we started, it was mostly men that were buying sites, and I always used to think it was kind of funny that these men would be buying mom blogs and college lifestyle blogs and
Spencer at
things
one
like
point
that.
bought a mom blog.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and it was very common. But they, of course, they wouldn't put their face or their name on the website. They were just a secret buyer, and they had an avatar. And that was totally cool. So it was always funny because you'd be following, your favorite blogger, Shelly or whatever, and it's actually Jim behind the scenes. But now we are seeing so many more women buying, and buying public facing, where they actually put their persona on it, but also secret buying, where they are not putting their persona on it. They are creating an avatar or keeping the past seller's avatar on, and just entering it as an investor, and just looking at it as being an owner over the business rather than the day-to-day grind. This is my personal story, that kind of thing. So we are seeing that change from a buyer's perspective a little bit more in recent years, which I think is great. And I think
Mm.
that that has a lot to do with just more people talking about website investing and website flipping, and women feeling more comfortable to dive in. It's not as maybe a locked behind a closed, bro culture kind of doors that maybe it was 10 years ago. I think it's just a lot more welcoming for people from, all genders, all walks of life. And I love to see it.
I mean, it makes sense. Like you said, SEO traditionally, just speaking about the statistics, often much more heavily male dominated. Pinterest, just looking at the statistics, often much more female dominated, right? So if the transition from creating websites, super focused, narrow topics, all about SEO, get Google to love you, if that's changed to a more Pinterest minded site, doesn't topical authority not nearly as important there, you can expand on the topics. The whole trend does kind of line up and make sense. You get more female buyers, more people interested in these lifestyle type sites. That seems to be what does well on Pinterest. So,
Mm.
Pinterest traffic sources. Let me go back to asking you about, like, what type of monetization. Oftentimes, people monetizing with Pinterest traffic will be ad dependent, ad heavy, but you have dropped things like affiliate, you have dropped things
Mhm.
like newsletter. What are people doing on the revenue side of things for these lifestyle type of websites? Hey guys, just a really quick break to remind you that we're coming to the end of our free GEO snapshot audit that we're offering to Niche Pursuits listeners for free. Again, that's coming to an end really soon, and you can go grab your complimentary audit by going to 201creative.com/GEO snapshot. We've gotten some great feedback on it. Tony said, wow, fixed an issue immediately. I highly recommend. Claire said, clear, actionable guidance. I loved it. Renee said, gave me insights that I've never seen before as it relates to my website and LLMs. Go grab yours today. 201creative.com/GEO snapshot. Again, that's 201creative.com/GEO snapshot. Grab it for free while it's still available. Now, back to the podcast.
Something I am seeing in 2025 more than ever is people getting into affiliate marketing actually on Pinterest. So now you can tag products on, if you have a popular, or it doesn't even have to be a popular pin, it can be any pin, you can tag other products, other images, and you can use an affiliate link. And Pinterest had an update in the past year where they have a little checkbox where you can check that it is an affiliate link that you're posting. So it's all FTC guideline legit and everything. And now when you go on Pinterest and you look at pretty much anything, you're going to see a bunch of other images pop up beside it that is giving you related things to search. And a lot of people probably don't know that those pins are actually connected to that main pin. So the person who uploaded it added their affiliate link. So I'll give you an example. Let's say someone uploaded a picture of a woman wearing a black dress and a burgundy bag and some pointy stiletto shoes. And then beside that, you see individual pair of shoes that look just like it. And then another one that's a similar pair of shoes, a similar bag to the one that's in the image. And all of those link out to that creator's affiliate links. And on that note, LTK is really, really booming this in recent years. People are really getting into using LTK as an affiliate network. That's a great one because they are partnered with hundreds, maybe even thousands of brands. So instead of joining something like AWIN, where then you have to apply to each brand once you're
Yep.
in. When you're in LTK, you just get approved to be in LTK, and then you can automatically use brand links from all of their partners. So that's a nice, quicker way to get into affiliate marketing. We're seeing that on Pinterest a lot and still in blogs as well. People are really using the LTK widgets.
Okay.
Not
So
sure about
affiliate
that.
is alive and well using a
Definitely.
new platform. And are you seeing sites that build community commonly? Because building community certainly gotten talked about a lot, most notably since HCU, but it's
Yeah.
hard to do. And not only is it hard to do, but it's often very connected to the founder or the person. And so communities can be very hard to include in a transaction or a sale.
Mhm.
Again, I'm just speaking from an outsider. Do you see communities? Are they a big part of sales now or not quite as much?
I believe, and from what I've seen, that yes, community is very important. And when I say community in this instance, I'm talking about newsletters. So, websites, niche sites, businesses that come with a newsletter, that's still very valuable. And yeah, you're right. It can be tough when it seems to be tied to the founder. So, if someone is listening and they're thinking of starting up a newsletter and a website with the intent to sell it, you don't have to put your real name on it. You can create a character for yourself, and that character can then live on and stay with the business when you sell it later. The new owner can be that avatar. And that I think is a really great way to be able to build and sell sites, is to just not have your persona on it. And you're right that people are talking a lot about how do you build a community. We're seeing things like Substack is really popular in recent years, and
Mm-hmm.
people are using TikTok to go and they'll have a really great hook and they'll mention one little thing, and in the back behind them you'll see their Substack, and they'll say, to get more details on this, well, links in my bio, get on my Substack. People are using social media to then drive people to their newsletters a lot more than websites, a lot more than blogs nowadays. And I love websites, I love blogging. I'm not ready to give that up because my blogs still make money and I still really enjoy the blogging aspect of it, but I too am using social media to then drive people to my blog where then they can sign up to my newsletter. That's how I've been building community. One way, the other way is with virtual events, really going in on creating very specific virtual events that are targeted to my audience. That has been something that has really been a game changer for my business, is to be able to create an event. I've been doing like 3-day virtual events where it's free to join and there's an upgraded pass where people can buy if they want the replays. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a great way to have a rapport with your community. You can get on live calls with them. They can share what they're working on, and just having that back and forth, it really that is would be tied to the founder, of course. So if you're thinking you want to do that, maybe you need to hire someone that is a virtual assistant that is the host of your events, that then they can stay with the business when you sell the business.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many ways to do it, and I think that you can really, there's no rules specifically. You can create your own rules to how you want to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fascinating. Multiples, right? That's a topic that everybody
Yeah.
wants to know when it comes to buying and selling. Um, Have multiples changed much in the years since we had you on? Certainly through all the changes. And maybe unpack that a bit. Like what's behind the way the multiples are structured now and why they are that way.
Yeah, and I don't see that multiples have changed too much.
Mhm.
Before we were really seeing 20 to 40x multiples on a monthly multiple. Now I would say it's really more like 20 to 35. So it hasn't changed too much, but I think that buyers and me, when I'm a buyer and I'm going to purchase something, I really want to see that it comes with certain assets like a newsletter, so like a community around it, like a whole bunch of digital products so that I don't have to create them myself. So there's been some work done that I don't have to do. That sort of adds value to me, even though it doesn't necessarily add to the price. It makes me want to, or it makes me see the asking price as more valuable. So if you're a seller, multiples are still being based on your profit. So if you can bring your expenses down, your profit can go up. If you're spending too much, your profit isn't going to be that great. Your multiple is not going to be that great. So the more you can make, the less you can spend, better multiple for you in the end. Hey, that rhymes.
Does rhyme.
But when you're looking at that, and if you put your site in for evaluation at any marketplace, you're going to get a suggested range. So it could be 20 or lower X, it could be 40 or higher X, and you're going to want to go somewhere in the middle. But when you have assets like a newsletter, like great digital products, like really strong organic traffic from diversified sources, then that is going to help you uh, help buyers see that when you put it on the higher asking price, they'll be like, okay, yeah, because it also comes with all this stuff. So a buyer isn't going to necessarily add a dollar amount because you're selling it with a newsletter. But when you add it, when you put it on the higher end of your valuation, they're going to say, oh, okay, I can see how this makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
took the words right out of my mouth. I was like, what drives higher valuations, higher multiples and stuff. So
Yeah, it's that profit, that sale, those sales.
okay. Um, I wanted to ask you a bit about how you have been growing her paper route. And we do this a lot on here where it gets a little meta in terms of we're talking to you about what buyers and sellers are doing to sell their business and grow their business. And now I'm going to kind of turn the tables a bit and ask you about what you're doing to grow your business, which is the business of buying and selling. But leaving all that aside, you have found a way to not only survive, but coming out of 2024 and into 2025, really thrive with your business. What have been the drivers of growth over the last year or two that you've seen that you have seen in your business?
Well, when we were coming out of the HCU kind of time, I had also made a bunch of missteps in my business. I made a bunch of mistakes where I overspent on things. So it all kind of fell down at the same time. And I wrote about this in my book, Glow Up Yourself, where I was leaving a conference and I had just spent so much money after I had been going to all these conferences for the year, traveling around, and I had spent so much money on this particular one. The ROI wasn't very good. There wasn't many people that came to the booth, one, and they didn't really convert onto the list. We had like a giveaway, and it just didn't really work. And I was feeling really heavy. And when I boarded the plane, I was like, I have to make some serious changes because the industry was changing at that time and I was spending way too much. And I had to make some really difficult decisions where I had to cut back on advertising. Advertising spend just went pretty much down to zero for a little while. I had to let people on my team go. That was the toughest thing. And before I let anyone go, I just cut my own salary and I tried to run it just as lean as I could so that I didn't have to let anyone go because I really loved everyone on my team and I didn't want to bum anyone out. But eventually, I had to. And so I scaled back down to just one really awesome virtual assistant that made a really big difference. And I also had to just pull back on general spending. So things like coaches. I had, let's say I had a couple mistakes at that time. I had invested a little bit too much into a coaching program that wasn't really the right fit. So I had to pull back on that and just looking at different expenses that I had, software, maybe things that I didn't really need in the business. And then, like you mentioned at the beginning, this is when AI was starting to pop up. So
Right.
I was starting to explore, okay, what systems could I put off of my plate and more into an AI system and automation. And those were some changes that I started making at that time that made the huge difference and was what we were able to do to grow the business during that time, and not just grow, but actually survive when everything else seemed like it was kind of crumbling around in the industry. We were able to push through. And that's really it. Like, just cutting back was such a big thing, and as painful and icky as it was to have to let people on our team go, it was the right decision. So that then when we're looking at the books, a couple months after, we actually saw the results where I wasn't having a panic attack on payday.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to make all of our payments. And the coolest thing, and I still do this because this is something so I think is so important. A couple times a year, I will buy a smaller niche site. So something like under $40,000, but it's making some money. So it's not just a starter site, but it's having some money coming in. I buy one or two sites a year, and I just keep them on the back burner as quick cash if I need to flip it. If I get into hard times, I can be my own bank doing that. So it's making money each month, whether it's affiliate revenue, that's usually what I look for, affiliate revenue, but ad revenue too. Now I also buy sites with ad revenue. And then if I ever have a time where, oh, we didn't actually end up selling that many sites this month, I can just sell one of mine, and we have some cash. And then a couple months later, I'll buy another one. So that's been like, being my own bank has really, really helped. And I know people are listening and they are thinking, yeah, but then you need money to invest in a site. You just start with the first one. And then when you sell it, you put a little bit aside for the next one. You don't put all your money into it on the first sale.
Interesting. That's fascinating. Uh, I love that idea. And you have obviously like a upper hand in finding good sites because of your position in the market, what you see. So
Yeah,
it's a
I
competitive
do. I
advantage, really.
do. It is. It's honestly awesome. And that is because of our community too, that we've been building for years, like with the virtual events and with our newsletters. People, they read our content and they're like, oh yeah, Chelsea buys and sells sites. And so there is some benefit to that, a huge benefit, where when people want to sell their site, sometimes they'll just think of me, the person, rather than just niche investor, the platform. And they'll DM me, hey, I want to sell this site. Do you want to buy it? And then I can, get that first dibs look. And then if it's not right for me, we can, send it to our buyers. But yeah, that is a really great thing. And that all comes back to community and effort that we put in years ago that we see the results from now.
You've talked about community several times.
Yeah.
Community, it gets mentioned on this podcast a decent amount.
Yeah.
The buzzwords are around it are that it's incredibly valuable, but it's a lot of work. What would you say? You've kind of spoken already the value that the community's had.
Mhm.
Um, Talk about how much work it is, or the type of work that it is.
It's a lot of work when you're getting it started. The type of work would be, well, so okay, you sign up for a email service provider and you write a newsletter. Okay, there's some work in that, getting your funnel set up and lead magnets. That takes some time. But the actual thing that takes the most work is promoting your newsletter out in the internet to get people to sign up so that they can actually read what you're writing. So in the first couple years, it's really going to be your promotional, like, you have to get up, jump out of bed in the morning and be like, okay, I need to talk about my newsletter. I need to go on to whatever social platform you want to be on and talk about it. A lot of times we think that just because we have a newsletter, everyone knows about it. And it's not like that. Everybody has a newsletter. And, there's so many people out there, no matter what niche you're in, that might be interested in your newsletter and the community that you're building, maybe a membership that you have. But most people don't see the content that we post on social media. We have to repeat what our story, we have to repeat our posts many times for people to see it, because algorithms really are not our friend unless we're paying for ads. Then if we're just trying to do everything organic, it is going to take a long time. And the easiest thing that you can do to make things easier for yourself is to repeat your posts. If you talked about your newsletter on Monday, talk about it again on Friday and next Thursday. Mention it multiple times. And that's really the slow build. And one thing that I've seen, and I'll just mention this quickly, she jumped on a TikTok her TikTok account, and she told a story about the importance of having people around when you're a new mom. And then at the end of her story, she said, "By the way, I just started this Facebook group for new moms. If you want to hang out, come see me there." And I went and I checked at it. She posted that video. Um, it was a couple days before I saw it. I looked at this new Facebook group she had started, and she had over 20,000 people in the Facebook group.
Wow.
So I don't know if when she started, she already had some people in it, or it was just from that TikTok. But the power of just showing up and talking about what it is that you do really can't be underestimated.
Man, that's amazing. Um, Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of I mean the word on the street is a community is so valuable and can really get you through leaner months and can really
Mm-hmm.
get you into new products that you didn't even know your audience needed, but because you have the community, they're telling you so many benefits from it. Does seem like a decent amount of work to get going.
Yeah.
What does her paper route look like now? Obviously we've talked about the niche investor, the side of it that is
Yeah.
buying and selling of websites, but I know her paper route is not just that. What is your business comprised of these days?
Now it's my focus is really writing the newsletter. I used to publish 4 or 5 blog posts a week, and I really have in the last year, maybe I've posted a couple blog posts in a year. So my shift has been moving away from the constant publishing to articles to just creating newsletters and pins and driving people to um, digital offers. So my sort of offer suite that I have, I used to have a suite of courses and
Mm,
um, one-on-one coaching, a membership, like all of these different things. And I pulled back some of those things, and just so that I could focus, I do offer one-on-one services. I only take a couple clients a year. It's not something that I'm trying to really grow. It's just I'll work with a few people that I feel excited to work with, basically. And then I have one digital course, and then a couple times a year I'll have a sale where I will sell some templates, or I'll sell maybe a group workshop type of thing. And that has been the business side for services and digital products. But really, it's affiliate marketing for me. It's the newsletter, it's telling stories in my newsletter and sharing cool products that I think my audience would like because I think that they're cool. And that has been my business model now for the last couple years, not including the marketplace, like you said. But for the Her Paper Route side, it's just creating fun newsletters, telling stories, and following what feels fun, because I used to get so burnt out and stressed trying to chase success and chase growth. And now I'm just like, what feels fun today? I'm going to do that. And reaching out to people in, like, we're here with community again, right? The buzzword, but reaching out to people in our community and saying, hey, what do you want? What do you want to see? What are you struggling with? I send out a survey at the end of each year asking just that. And the feedback that I get is awesome and so funny. And then it really directs what I end up creating the following year.
and that was gonna be my follow-on question. I mean, where do you come up? 3 times a week is a lot. That's a lot of content to have to come up with. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because, and I'll make this note. I don't know if you've seen this, but you were publishing a lot of blog content every week previously. But blog content's, I'll say, a little different because it's not as personal. And if it doesn't
Yeah.
land, no one really even knows that you published something that never went anywhere.
True.
But when you send an email, if it doesn't land, you have all the data right there in front of you an hour later, and
True.
you get emails back and you get unsubscribes. And so this feedback loop is a little bit more vicious than when you're producing blog content. And so I asked that because 3 times a week is a lot of content to come up with, and you can't have many misses.
That's such a good point. And I run 3 different newsletters. So if I'm having a special event or sale, then I might send a newsletter to that group more times in a week, but usually it's once a week per newsletter. And a lot of the times, what I'll do is I will use that data. Okay, people didn't like this, or I got maybe a reply saying, "Oh, this is terrible." That doesn't happen often, but once in a while, there's one or two
I get a
of
few
people,
too. Don't
right?
worry about it.
Yeah, yeah. There'll be those people
They're pretty
who,
rare.
but that's great. That you want that,
Yeah.
right? Like you want to see what is going to, make people tick, because you don't want to just be liked by everyone. If you're doing that, you're not really, you're not really doing it. You gotta appeal to the right people and then turn away the people who are not right for your business. And you do that by being yourself and authentic, and just kind of sharing your interests. And that has been what I've done. For the Her Paper Route newsletter, that's me. I'm writing it. My name's on it. My photo's on it. And then my other ones, I have an avatar. I've just created a new brand for a newsletter. I kind of use it as a testing ground, so nobody knows that it's me. Maybe some people do. I mean, if you did some digging, you can figure it out as me. It's not that I'm hiding. It's that I want to be able to create a persona so that I have that creative freedom to test out different niches and different things that maybe don't relate to the Her Paper Route audience. So that's what I've been doing. And
No.
and two, like you mentioned, when you put out a blog post, it's sort of just like blogging out into the void, like shouting to the void. You don't really get feedback. People don't really leave blog comments there
No,
anymore
that's
like they used to.
decades ago tradition.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So I think that, yeah, that I can't really call having a blog a community because there's really no back
Yeah.
and forth. Whereas a newsletter, there is. You're getting right into someone's inbox. You're meeting them in their bathroom while they're taking a poop. They're on their phone, right? You are very
Mhm.
much in their life when you're sending newsletters, and you're going to get more feedback from people, and that's going to help. That's at least that's what's been working for me.
The same can be said about a podcast.
True.
Yeah. So you're okay. So you're working on several newsletters, which
Mm.
means that my next question will probably be even more interesting because you have many data points. What is working for getting new subscribers for you on newsletters? Because again, you could be the best. You could have the best newsletter that hits every single time, but you're going to get unsubscribes. And so, without getting new people in the door, you will slowly, hopefully slowly lose subscribers over time. So you have to have some sort of engine that is
Mm.
generating new subscribers, either in high frequency or low frequency. What are you finding is working better or working well to get new subscribers? And again, you can generalize it across the different newsletters you run because you have a couple different data points there.
And it's so funny because, we're coming right back to where we started here. It's all from Pinterest. It really is. I'm
Really?
looking for what's trending on Pinterest a couple seasons ahead. I'm creating content about that. And then I'm linking to either a blog post or a opt-in page where then they can get more information by getting on the newsletter and having a lead magnet that really serves that specific trend or specific topic. That's really that is the engine. That's the ecosystem around the business. Is Pinterest is the traffic driver, sending it to the specific places I want people to go, and then getting on the newsletter from those specific pages. When they're on the newsletter, I'm kind of sending people back around to the blog, to offers, or just sometimes it's just entertainment. It's just I want I'll send these sometimes very long-winded, ridiculous kind of newsletters. There isn't exactly a point. It's more just like an update. And people, you might be like, why would anyone want to listen to that? People freaking love that email. When I send that, those are the ones I get the most
Mm.
responses from. Maybe because it's relatable to some people, but it's more fun. Nobody just wants to be on a newsletter to be sold to all the time. They really just want to step into someone else's life and get entertained. At least that's what I found. And those are the funnest newsletters to write, are the ones where I just get to tell a ridiculous story about my week.
Man, I tell you, you're breaking down a lot of stereotypes here.
Am I?
Yeah, I think there's a definite stereotype that Pinterest does not drive newsletter subscribers.
Oh, yeah.
There's a definite stereotype that Pinterest does not work in, we'll call it, kind of the niche that Her Paper Route is in, like the business or
Yeah.
entrepreneurial niche, right? Like, so I
Yeah.
think this has been fascinating for me to hear you talk about that. And we bring so many stereotypes to the table from many, many years in this industry. But as you mentioned, things change so rapidly
Yeah.
that we got to leave some of these stereotypes behind. I certainly have learned a lot from that as it relates to Pinterest. What as we kind of start to come to a wrap here, what about 2026 gets you excited and are you focusing on? I don't normally ask a question like that, but you've gone through so much transformation and so much change in the last couple of years. You've proven extremely adaptable, right? And so I'm just curious, like, what's on your mind about what's coming up next? Maybe it's AI driven, maybe it's not AI driven, maybe it's social media driven, maybe it's new opportunities that you see in the business. But what's on your mind about 2026 as it relates to what you're doing?
That's actually such a great question. And It's like when you're at a job interview and they're like, okay, what's your 5-year plan? I was never the one to have a 5-year plan. And that's something that nowadays I am more looking towards and trying to plan the future a little bit better. And I mentioned a little bit earlier how I used to be so focused on growth and success and getting to a specific, next step, as they call it. And what I realized, and maybe this is because I just turned 40, but I realized that I'm not trying to climb any ladder. I'm not trying to hit a specific next step. For me, it's really just when I feel happy, chill, and I'm working on things that I feel are fun, that is the goal. Because wherever the fun is, wherever I follow that, that's always what ends up being profitable or successful rather than chasing the profit or the success itself. So, what I'm doing is I'm just like, hey, what feels fun today? And because I just released a book, I have to promote it. I have to show up on social media and talk about it, even though that doesn't necessarily feel fun all the time. So, trying to do it in a way where it's a little bit more enjoyable. So, to your question, asking what am I looking forward to in 2026? Well, that I hope that a lot of young and old women will read my book, because I mean, it's men can read it too, but it really is for the gals. And I hope that it inspires someone who is either afraid to get started or feeling overwhelmed and confused. They know they want to either leave their job, their 9 to 5 job, or maybe do something on the side to be able to replace that income one day, but they're just feeling overwhelmed with all the things. And I hope that my book would make someone just start anyway, start messy, and just know that it's not about the end result 10 steps ahead. It's just on the day to day, what feels fun, what could make you happy today, and just follow that feeling. That's what has worked for me, from almost tanking my business a couple years ago, as we talked about, to being just self-reliant, figuring it out. It's just one day after the other. And I'm at a place now where I'm so freaking happy. I love my life. I love getting to write my newsletter. I love getting to blog. I love getting to meet the people that come from those places. Like, someone will reach out to me in an email and be like, oh, hey, I saw you on Pinterest. And I'll be like, Pinterest, really? Oh, let's talk about it. And, those conversations that spin off from this amazing internet that we have. So I'm really looking at it from a positive place now. I'm not doom and gloom about HCU. That's old, that's in the past. We've moved past that. We're happy. So 2026 is going to be a great year. It's all about creativity and fun.
Love it. Chelsea, give everybody the different places they can find you, follow along. You have a book, you have a website, you have a community, you have a marketplace, probably have stuff we didn't even talk about today, but tell us where people can follow along with what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for having me on this amazing podcast. Again, I really, really appreciate it. So, anyone who is interested in connecting with me, you can find me at herpaperroute.com. And if you are interested in taking a look at our listings that we have, or maybe you have a website you would like to find out how much it could potentially sell for, we offer free valuations at nicheinvestor.com. And you can also view all of the listings there too, which makes it really easy. So, we have that, and that's really it. And yeah, I have the book. It's called Glow Up Yourself. It just came out this October, and it's available wherever books are sold, or you can also just go to herpaperroute.com/glow.
There you go. Chelsea, it's great to reconnect. It's been a while. We've had a couple of returning guests on of late, and it's so fun to reconnect. It's always great having you on as an interview. You're a great person to interview, but just to also reflect back on how things were 4.5 years ago and how much has changed. It's a good reminder to all of us that kind of like what you said, stay adaptable. And and that's the secret to success, I suppose, at least in this industry that we're in right now. So.
Oh, big time. Yes, you nailed it.
Thanks, Chelsea. Good to see you again. Really appreciate it until we talk again.
Thanks so much.